Welcome to Dodgers Dogs. As part of the Dodgers Daily Network, Casey Porter here, joined by Coach Holt. Coach, the one word that keeps coming to my mind about last night's game and really getting the split in Atlanta, which all Dodgers fans should be doing cartwheels about, they're just the word mature. You had one team playing desperate, making desperate mistakes. You had another mature team that was playing with a sense of urgency, but playing the game in a mature manner and able to win the last two games.
Yeah, I mean, after the first two games, if panic set in, it could have got beat 16-3 in those two games, and Atlanta's an outstanding team. And you look up and say, I don't know how this series is going to end up. And the Dodgers won 18-2 or something the last two games. So it's kind of a tale of a whole series, like two games. But, yeah, the Dodgers are very outstanding pitching. Of course, one of my favorites, a double cut relay to home plate, and cut down a runner. Great on all parts. Everybody involved with that. It's a little thing in the big scheme of things, and a 9-0 win. But to me and you, it's not. And to anybody that watches that was executed perfectly. So great pitching, solid defense. Only got 4 hits. Case, isn't that correct?
Yeah,
and scored 9 runs. But they held the Braves only 4 hits. So. So there's a lot to go with that. But if you score 9 runs off only 4 hits, that's big boy baseball, and that's being very efficient everywhere.
You mentioned that double cut, Coach, and I tell you, I know Michael Harris is very fast. Okay, I get it, but hey, you're a team that's in desperation. You're the Braves. There's no outs. I mean, I guess the game of baseball, from an analytical perspective, maybe has changed, but I mean. One of the very first things you learn whenever you coach third base, which we've both done a lot of in our day, is that you don't make the very first out. I mean, if you ever make an out at home plate being aggressive, it's the third out, because the odds of the next, I hear fans complain about a guy getting thrown out at the plate with 2 outs. I never have a problem with that, because the odds of that team making a mistake on that relay are higher than the next guy getting a hit, right? The next guy getting a hit, there's only maybe a 25% chance of that happening. There's a higher than 25% chance of the defense messing up a relay. So I don't mind the 2-out deal for the third out of the inning, but man, especially when you're in the Braves situation, you're losing, that first out at home plate, that blows my mind.
Well, you never want to make the first out, as we've all learned growing case of third base or home plate. You already got a guy in scoring position at second base. You don't want the first out and be made at third or home plate. Like you said, sometimes the desperation kicks in. The guy's got good speed. I think it ended up not working. And you're right. The double cut, even on a major league level, the throws just need one throw that's not a good throw, and you're not going to make a play there. You have to have 2 really good throws, and which the Dodgers did there, but. It's a gamble, and like I said, it's not good baseball. I've had more runners thrown out in my lifetime of feeling. I think this, quick, process of information and it being wrong, and that's kind of what happened there to the Braves and their third base coach.
Yeah, judgment or whatever. Hey, that is what it is. It's just situational awareness, though. That just for a professional third base coach, it just seems like the situational awareness was. Not good there. Okay, so the Dodgers have a 3.5 game lead over the Padres. You have the Marlins coming in, and then the Rockies. So things are setting up really well. You'd like to be outside of that 3-game lead when the Padres do come in to Los Angeles for that last series, because they're very talented. You wouldn't think the Padres would come in and sweep the Dodgers, but dumber things have happened in baseball, Coach. D-backs are not a threat right now, but they are in wild card contention. But I'll tell you what, Coach. Dodgers are just 2 games ahead of the Brewers for that bye. I think that's where the real scoreboard watching is, and they're 1 game behind Philadelphia. And Philly and the Brewers play each other for a 3-game series starting tonight. So I think the Dodgers fans going to have one eye on the scoreboard with the Marlins and Dodgers, and then I think that second eye on that Brewers and Philly series. Yeah,
that's big. That's where they're watching now. We got to be very careful, like you said, that we're got more than a 3-game lead. The Padres come in. I think we got 12 left. 6 of them against the Rockies. You got 3 against the Marlins. So the schedule sets up pretty well. But if you don't take care of business, and like I said, the Padres roll in, they're very capable of sweeping the Dodgers. I don't anticipate that happening. But stranger things have happened, like you said. But yeah, scoreboard watching, that's going to be big. The Phillies and the Brewers playing each other. So that's a huge series, not only for those two, but for the Dodgers.
You're right. The Dodgers do finish at Colorado. I was overlooking that. And then Colorado is a place that can be a very difficult place to play. I mean, You're talking about in the altitude, the ball can fly. So good catch there, Coach, with 12 left. So offense, you mentioned, Coach, 9 runs on just 4 hits. Miguel Rojas was the perfect example of what the Dodgers offense was last night. Generated the run in the 3rd inning, walked. He got moved over on a ground ball by ShoheiOhtani, stole 3rd base, and then, hey, here's this analytical deal. So you play that shift where your 3rd baseman is all the way over to 2nd base. Well, that's fine whenever you're saying this is where this guy normally hits it. But you know what that does to your pitcher, Coach? It means that they can't throw the ball in the dirt at all, because that runner at 3rd base with nobody holding him on can get almost halfway to 3/4 the way down the line.
Yep.
So if the ball's in the dirt at all, if it squirts away, I mean, like 5 or 6 feet one way or the other, the runner just walks in. So yet another one of those deals to where I thought the Braves, from a situational awareness perspective, it was an interesting decision, and give Miguel Rojas a lot of credit as a veteran. He saw where that 3rd baseman was playing off in the shift. He got the huge secondary lead and just went home on a wild pitch that a lot of times you don't see guys go home on in the major leagues.
Yeah, like I said, there's nobody holding him on. I mean, he's getting a huge lead. He's a 35-year-old veteran that knows the game inside and out. He's a scrapper. He's a good player with speed. Like you said, that puts your defense, that puts your pitcher and catcher in a horrible position there. And as we always said, Case, when you're coaching a base, whether it be 1st, 3rd, you always tell the runner, read it out of the hand, read the ball in the dirt. And by that, we're just trying to get baseball is such a game, especially competitive baseball, such a game of inches. If you can get that extra base anytime you can get it, but especially when you get home plate, he's 3/4 of the way down the stinking line. Nobody can get there to cover. And if it just gets away 5 or 6 feet, he's there, and especially a good base runner. And that's what we saw with Rojas.
That's why your analytical people say, hey, well, there's really no difference between a runner on 2nd, runner on 3rd with 2 outs. And I'm like, tell the pitcher that then, because there is a lot more pressure on that pitcher with a runner on 3rd than there is a runner on 2nd, because you can't bury you can, but if it gets away, then that's a run for you. So I thought that was great baseball by Miguel Rojas last night. And then he drives in the run with the fist job into right field. And it just reminded me of the ShoheiOhtani at bat on Monday, where he took the 0-2 pitch. He had looked terrible in the first 2 swings and just figured out a way to put the ball in play. Again, Miguel Rojas just put the ball in play. So he generated the run in the 3rd. Then he drove in a run in the 5th by just putting the ball in play. Great job, Miguel Rojas.
Then he scored 3 runs on top of everything. He's scrappy at the plate. I mean, I think Roberts, Dave even mentioned after the game, his 2-strike approach. I'm going, wait a minute. Did they just say 2-strike approach in the big leagues? With me and you teach, and we all the high school guys. I don't even know if college guys do that much anymore. I've never been a college coach. I don't think they do they do some, I'm sure, but big league level, when I saw the words 2-strike approach, man, it did my heart good. My whole, puffed my chest out, and felt like I was an idiot all these years teaching a 2-strike approach, high school kids, just to get up on the play, whatever, trying to put the ball in play. So he had that approach and got himself on base, scored 3 runs, and just a solid game by a solid major league player. And like you said, Casey, mature. I mean, the Dodgers, it was just a mature game, pitching, defense, making the most out of your 4 hits. Good Lord. I mean, it doesn't get any better than that.
Yeah, Ohtani, a guy who's going to hit 50-50, just kind of shortens up and puts a ground ball in play, knowing he can use his speed to beat out the double play. He scores Miguel Rojas. You get walks like the Dodgers do, and then you have a ground ball, a sac fly. You get the lead with great Timo. And then I always say this all the time, Coach. You play that aggressive, people call it small ball, call it whatever you want, moving runners, stealing bases, that kind of thing, to get a lead, right? To get the lid off, because sometimes that hardest run of the game to score is that first run. So you get the lead by playing that style of team baseball. Then once you get the lead, you start relaxing. Then you just go to opening up a can, which the Dodgers did last night with the home run by Freddie Freeman. and Teoscar Hernandez as well right in front of him. So that formula, not very many hits, but that formula of playing great team baseball, small ball, whatever you want to call it, to get the lead, to get the momentum, and then opening up the can after you do that. That is how you really demoralize other teams.
No, there's no doubt about it. And I've told you, I'm not coaching baseball here at Stillwater High School this year. I took another role as an athletic director at another school. But Marty Lees is one of the best baseball coaches in America on any level. I promise you. He's coaching at Stillwater High School now. He's been Oregon State, Oklahoma State. He's been all over. He's always used the term, and I loved it. I don't know why I ever came up with it myself, winning baseball plays. We'd work on the first and third sack, whatever he said. He always told the kids, these are winning baseball plays. And that's what you're talking about, winning plays, whatever it be, moving runners, sacrifice, you got first and third situation. No, let's sacrifice down. It's a suicide squeeze, but you move the guy to second base too, that sort of thing. Winning baseball plays. Again, puff your chest out, Case. Here it is. There's a high school term.
Absolutely.
Actually, Marty's a Division I coach. I never use that term. I wish I had it, but Marty has been all over. But anyway, I'm saying it's a winning baseball play, small ball, two-strike approach, whatever you want to call it. Got to love it, man, if you're a baseball guy.
No doubt. I thought the turning point was after the Braves got the runner thrown out at home, the Dodgers turned right around and just scrap a run. And so how many times have you sat in the dugout on the winning and losing side, and after you squander a run, it just seems like as a coach, you're like, watch this. They're going to figure out some squirrely way to score. After we had all these chances to score last inning, they're just going to figure out a way to squirrel one across. And on the vice versa, whenever you squander an opportunity and then you turn right around and give up a run that next half inning, that's just really a killer for momentum for a team. I thought that was really the turning point of the game, beyond obviously the Freddie Freeman home run to put it away.
No, it kills you. As baseball guys, I think you laughed at me last time we were on here for good reason. I'm always thinking, what the hell's going to go wrong now? What the hell are we going to screw up now? So I've always been that way for 30-something years. You played for me, But I think as in nature, I think we're baseball guys are that way. Well, here we go. We had a chance and didn't score anything. Here those guys come. What the hell's going? But we've all been in that situation, and that's true. We always wonder what's going to go to hell next, and it does. Sometimes, not all the time. I'm just saying, some points we think. I think we do the same thing as parents. And,
when you're the Braves and you had their season, it seems like it always goes to hell.
Yeah, it's like, what the hell's going to happen now? Oh, here we go again. That's the old statement. Well, here we go again. Looks like we've never worked on bunt coverage in practice. Looks like our guys don't have any clue on whatever. There's always something, but I think that's probably not a good human nature. I know a lot of guys that aren't that way, and I really respect them and in awe of people who aren't that way, but I have a tendency to.
They've had a different experience in the game than I've had.
Yeah, I think most baseball coaches are. I think most baseball coaches are that way. That's a great fraternity, and I love guys I competed against with and what have you, and you learn from everybody. And I learn from other coaches, and that's a beautiful part of this game.
Yeah, absolutely. So the Dodgers did a really good job of, I thought, playing, we saw the difference I mentioned in a team that's desperate versus a team that's playing with urgency. Mm-hmm. Coach Dave's always taught me this. Coach, you play for the win on the road, you play for the tie at home, especially in baseball because you get the last at bats. In baseball, it's kind of like the college football overtime. Whenever you play more conservatively, I think probably as that second team that gets to play defense first because already what you have to have, right? So you play for the win on the road, and the Dodgers did that by pulling the infield in. You get the ground ball, and you keep the run from scoring. I thought you mentioned sending the guy. I mentioned sending the guy home with no outs. I don't have a problem with the judgment there at all from the third base coach, but I do have a problem with the situational awareness. I thought the situational awareness of, hey, we need to play for the win right here, and we're on the road, and I thought that situational awareness and that urgency made sense, not just because it worked, just because it made sense in the situational awareness part of baseball.
No, it doesn't. Obviously, it makes sense because it works, Case. We've always been in those situations. Everybody that's in the game of baseball has it. You come up with what you think is a great idea, and it doesn't work. But, that one works, so you can look at the situational part of it. Yeah, as a third base coach, you got to be thinking, you got to know for the balls that are put in play, I mean, outs are, zero outs.
Yeah,
and
right.
the Braves have good enough offensive players, that situational awareness is huge there. And it worked in the Dodgers' favor there. If the guy scores, everybody's clapping, hey, gutsy job down there by the third base coach. Sending him, to go ahead and score in the run there when, it didn't look like whatever. I think they made the right call there, obviously because it worked. But the night before they did, we struck out all three guys. They had the infield in the game with the bad, tough situation. That's kind of changed down through the years, Case. Back to the old days, you hardly ever brought your infield in because the old timers like Genio and all the old Rogers Hornsby crew would tell you, when you bring the infield in, the guy's batting average goes up to cut down angles. So so it was back when I first started. I don't think we did it much, but they do a lot more now. And I think for several reasons, the pitchers are amazing. The infielders have a little bit more range, but I think that's new thinking. By new, I mean the last 20 years, or whatever you want to call it. But I think it's new thinking that managers now don't, even in high school and college, they don't mind bringing them in early.
Yamamoto, it was interesting. I mean, there were struggles. He walked some people early on. The command and control, neither one were really good. He got himself into jams, and then obviously with some good fortune and some bad decision-making by the Braves, got himself out of the jam. But bottom line is, Coach, another 4 innings knocked down by YoshinobuYamamoto, another scoreless outing. So, yes, I think in the process part of Yamamoto's outing last night, there were some things to chew on and some things to, think, hey, we need to get better at. But from a results perspective, Dodgers fans couldn't be more ecstatic about it, right?
No, and I agree with you, Case. It's not quite as clean as his first outing, but again, 0 runs. I mean, he made pitches when he had to. A little bit more struggle last night, I think, for the first time. But it's hard to talk about a guy struggling when he don't give up any runs. And the efficiency he's showing, I think they said they had him on the 75 to 80 pitches. I think he threw 72. So I think he's right on schedule. What they got, so we're looking at maybe 2, maybe 3 more starts outside, maybe 3, at least 2 before the playoffs start to give the Dodgers a good look at him and see where we are. And we know things have changed. With Glass now being done for the year, evidently, and so your perception of things, your view of things, and like I said, I got all the faith in the world in Dave Roberts and Mark Pryor and the whole staff. They've done it 2 years in a row. Nobody should ever question them on being able to handle adversity. I know they lost 3 straight last year in the playoffs. Hey, it sucked, but whatever. And the pitchers got lit up, whatever. That's last year. This is a whole different deal. But as far as dealing with a crap sandwich that you get, they've done that for 2 years in a row, personnel-wise, injury-wise. And I got all the faith in the world in those guys. It doesn't guarantee anything. Major leagues are major leagues. They may come out and lose 3 straight again, and we're ready to fire everybody, and that's the nature of the business. But I've got full confidence that they're going to come up with the right stat. I got to believe Yamamoto is going to be right in the mix somewhere there. He may be your number 3 guy. Who knows? He may be number 1 time that rolls around.
Yeah, absolutely. How many times, Coach, with great ones like Yamamoto, you have them on the ropes early, they're struggling, they've walked a couple guys, you've got a base hit, and then you don't scratch against them in those first 1 or 2 runs, and then they settle in. I mean, you got to get to these great pitchers early when you have chances. So you kind of felt like when the Braves didn't get to Yamamoto in those first couple of innings, you kind of felt like that was going to be trouble for them because the great ones do settle in. No,
I totally agree, and we're believing the Dodgers did too. They wouldn't give him over $300 million. The Yamamoto is going to be a great one, and I think you're absolutely correct. You don't get those guys early; they get better as the game goes on because now they're processing information. Their coaches, they're calling pitches based off what they're seeing you've got, what's working best for you, what the hitters, So as the game goes on, a lot of things get better. The pitcher gets better. The information that the dugout's getting and relaying to the catcher or whoever's doing that sort of thing, it gets better. So it gets tougher the farther you go. You can get him deep into pitch count. That's a whole nother conversation. But until that time, you're going to have trouble if you don't get those great ones early.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And it felt like the Braves really, you could see their desperation with their at-bats with runners in scoring position. Going back to Monday with Michael Kopech Sunday with Michael Kopech. And then last night with the chances to score, especially early, you could just fuel the press, especially some of the younger Braves hitters, that they were just pressing a little bit too hard to try to make something happen.
Yeah, there's no doubt about it. They're feeling the heat as well. They should. They got an outstanding. They got a great team, but a great manager. And for whatever reason, it's just baseball. It hasn't gone well for them this year at all for several reasons. Like I said, I don't.
Which is why Dodgers fans should not get spoiled about the Dodgers being so good every year, right?
No, yeah, absolutely. Because look at the Braves. I mean, they got a great ball club. And last year with the Padres, the Padres were horrible last year. And they shouldn't have been, because you look at them and you look at them now, talent wise. So that just sometimes it starts going the wrong way and you can't change it. And It's just baseball. Your manager hadn't become an idiot all of a sudden. These guys haven't become bad players all of a sudden. It's just gone to hell in a handbasket. And sometimes it's hard to right the ship and get it going the other way.
Last topic here, Coach. Hey, I thought the bullpen looked good. Blake Trinan has been just absolutely locked down. As a matter of fact, Blake Trinan on the year, 2.16 ERA, whip of 103, 10 scoreless outings in a row, and has allowed just one run in his last 13 outings. So if Blake Trinan can keep pitching like he is, that is a huge factor. I think a wild card and kind of an interesting situation. I'm not quite sure which side I come down on right now. Evan Phillips, okay? He's had one of those up and down years. July was a tough month, and then he rebounded in August and had like 10 outings in a row where he was scoreless. Then he gave up the 4th spot the other night. He threw a scoreless inning last night. Where are we at with Evan Phillips? That's an interesting situation for me.
Oh, it is. He's kind of bounced around some. He's been a closer. He's been a setup guy. He's been just coming in 6th, 7th inning trying to get you out of trouble. So, no, I agree with you. That's one that's kind of a wild card for the Dodgers, how they're going to put him in the mix and where he's going to fit. The great part, like you said, Trinan, I know a couple years ago, I mentioned this several times, he was unhittable a couple years ago.
Yes.
That's a couple years ago, but he's showing signs of getting back close to where he was, and that's a great sign for the Dodgers bullpen. And hopefully we'll get Joe Kelly back. We'll see how that goes. I think
he looked good in Oklahoma City the other day.
You went down and saw him. I saw a little video you posted. That's good. We know what he brings as far as the bulldog in him, and that's the guy you need in the playoffs. Maybe just to come in and get one hitter out, just to come in and make a face at the dugout and the other team and deal and go skateboard home. I love that guy. He's our guy, and hopefully we get Joe back out there and get him. That's another one. So the Dodgers, it's looking pretty good as far as the bullpen. Because let's face it, case we get down to the playoffs, you're not going to need a whole lot of guys.
Right.
You may need an inning killer down there if you're way ahead or way behind, but for the most part, you're going to see the dudes, starters and relievers. You're going to see the cats every night.
6 games less with the Rockies, a 3-game series at home and a 3-game series at Colorado. Obviously, Padres and then the Marlins. You start a series with them tonight. So, final thoughts, Coach?
I just think, here we are, 12 games left. Dodgers got, I think it's a 3.5, 4-game lead, whatever they got. So, it's still a race. I like that, though, Case. I've told you that before. I like it from – well, we saw what happened last year when you coasted to the finish line. It didn't work out well. So you're kind of thinking, hey, they can't coast. They got to just come out every day. There's no coasting now because you're going to get caught and things are going to go to heck, before you get there. But I like the way the Dodgers set up. You go against the Marlins. You got 9 out of your 12 against the Marlins and the Rockies. I'm not saying they're still major league teams. They're going to put $1 million players out there. They can beat your tail end. I'm not saying that, but it looks good on paper setting up for the Dodgers, and that's a big series when the Padres come in. But there's a lot of things going on. There's 9 other games around that too that needs to be addressed. So I'm excited about it, and here we are, 12 left, and let's go.
Want to make sure and tell the audience to stay tuned. We have Down on the Farm segment. We're going to put Tulsa's season, AA Tulsa season, to bed. We're going to talk about that performance from Joe Kelly. Tony Gonsolin also got video of him and a couple of the big performances at AAA Oklahoma City. So we're going to have a Down on the Farm right after this. So stay tuned for that, Coach. Always great to see your face. I love you.
Love you too, Case. Look forward to seeing you Thursday. Go Dodgers.
Welcome to Dodgers Daily Down on the Farm. Going to put the Tulsa Drillers, the AA season, to bed. The Drillers had a very difficult season. They kind of rebounded there for a little bit towards right after the beginning of the second half. In minor league baseball, there's 2 halves, and if you win either half, you get to make the playoffs. So it looked like the Drillers were recovering and might have a chance to make that playoff run for the second half, but then things just did not go their way. Ended up 63-74. Who you're seeing right here is Taylor Young, who once again led the Texas League in stolen bases. I believe his total of stolen bases on the year for Taylor Young ended up at 46, and he had 56 last year. So Taylor Young, big-time stolen base threat, and he had, one of those years to where the average doesn't look great, but he still did a lot of things. It's one of those players, played a lot of third base this year, did a lot of things like stealing bases, getting on, getting over, and getting in that really helped baseball teams. So although the average was down the 230s, I think Taylor Young definitely is a young player that Dodgers fans need to keep an eye on. And then Jainer Fernandez, again, another one of those guys to where if you just look at the batting average and you just kind of look at the 245, the OPS of 672, yeah, whatever. But the thing about him is that he is very tough, he's very gritty, and his teammates love him to death, and he catches, and he plays second base. So he's another one of those guys that can do several different things for a baseball team. And so really it's kind of the accumulation. It's not any one given thing. It's not, hey, the high batting average, or hey, the high OPS, or the fact that, he hits a lot of home runs or anything like that. It's just the totality of all the different things that he can do for a team like this guy as well. And this is Griffin Lockwood Powell, kind of a bigger version of Jainer Fernandez. Griffin Lockwood Powell can play first base. He can catch. I think he can play some outfield. He could probably play third base if you needed him to. Young man who grew up in South Dakota, played his college baseball at Central Michigan, a Chippewa, just like Zach McKinstry was. And I know he's very, very proud of that. Again, batting average, you're going to see this as a theme for the Drillers. Average down around 231, OPS 672, which for a big guy, obviously, you'd like to see that be a little bit higher. But again, a guy that in totality does a whole lot for a team in terms of just kind of filling out different spots of a lineup and a roster over a long, however many games, whatever that is, 63 plus 74, that is a 137 game season for the Drillers. And then another guy that's very exciting that got brought up towards the end of the season, did not have a good time really as far as hitting the baseball at the AA level, but that would be Chris Newell. Watch this right here. Wow. We know that he can absolutely do that. He led the Midwest League when he was with the Great Lakes Loons in home runs, but just 162 with the Tulsa Drillers, OPS 501. And the thing about it, when you have a lot of swing and miss like he has in his game, as you move up, pitchers, yes, they get more talented, but the execution gets better. So I think the adjustment for Chris Newell is, can he cover some of those holes that the AA pitchers were hitting that created some of his swing and miss that he had this year in terms of being of his offensive game. So going to be very interesting to see how he approaches 2024 with his offensive game and how that grows. And then Noah Miller, it was a lot of fun to get to see him and his switch hitting offense, which I've said a couple of times. He was just about league average at Great Lakes, and he was basically the Gold Glove winner for all shortstops at the minor league level in 2023. The Dodgers traded for him right before last season. So he has very, very, very good defense. So really, if he can just be league average offensively, then you have a really, really nice player for the Drillers there. And on the pitching side of things, I think you need to start with the fact that I think a lot of people were surprised that the Dodgers actually, a while back, a month or so ago, actually released Kendall Williams. I thought that was an interesting deal. I know this time last year, many people thought that the Dodgers would lose him to the Rule 5 draft. And not only did they not lose him to the Rule 5 draft, they actually released him during this year. And so I think a lot of people caught a lot of people by surprise. And then this guy right here, Orlando Ortiz-Mayer, was the best pitcher, the most reliable, the guy that the Drillers could say, hey, here's the ball, go get us 6 innings, see ya in the 7th, and let's go win a baseball game. Carlos Duran just got promoted to AAA Oklahoma City, and hey, the wife and I went to Wichita, the beautiful bride of 25 years, Friday night, and the scheduled starter was Carlos Duran, of which I have not seen yet with my own eyes, so I was super excited, got there to realize, hey, he had been scratched. I told my wife immediately that probably means he got a AAA promotion. Got to see a bullpen game for the Double-A Tulsa Drillers, but this is a guy, Carlos Duran, that's coming off the Tommy John surgery. He has had an injury-plagued career to this point, so it's been frustrating for him. But to be honest with you, I think this is the best, longest stretch of his career so far with the Los Angeles Dodgers minor league system. He has had a really good year for High-A Great Lakes and then Double-A Tulsa, and he is a guy that could explode onto the scene in 2025. I know the innings limits this year were like 3 at a time. For him, I don't think that'll be the case next year. I think he's going to be let off the leash and to go the 5-6 innings and to see if he can become a bona fide starter from that perspective. So definitely keep your eye out for Carlos Duran. I definitely think that he could be a breakout pitcher next year, maybe even threaten the major leagues and make his mark from that perspective next year in 2025. And talking about a guy that has created a ton of excitement, Jackson Ferris got promoted to Double-A about a month ago or so, and boy, has he been good. He has not missed a beat. This guy, not only has he been good, he also has he's provided a lot of length in his starts. So, hey, I'll tell you what, Jackson Ferris, a young man who has that sweeping breaking ball right there. He also has a cutter, a good fastball that's 95, maybe 96 at times, can reach maybe higher than that as far as touching. This is a guy that this year was a total success. The way that he found length in his games, as effective as he was, the way that he was able just to continue to get better and better this year in the Dodgers system. Dodgers fans should be extremely excited about Jackson Ferris. He reminds me, as far as his positioning, as exactly where Justin Robleski was this time last year. Just kind of lurking in Double-A, might start next year in Double-A, and before you know it, he might be in LA because he has that kind of talent, and he's just knocking on the door. So believe me, Dodgers fans, both Carlos Duran and Jackson Ferris are closer to the major leagues and closer to LA than you might think. You have several examples of that going all the way back to like Emmett Sheehan, Kyle Hurt, Justin Robleski, Michael Grove, all those situations to where it went pretty fast. So definitely 2025 could be a huge year for Jackson Ferris. This is Orlando Ortiz Mayer. I think he did a really nice job this year for the Double-A Tulsa Drillers and just compiling innings, racking up innings, and doing a great job as far as just being very reliable. Another guy that I'm very excited about, of course, the Tulsa Drillers, their bullpen was not a part of the problem. Is you don't have the lead, but the bullpen was very good. And this guy right here, Garrett McDaniels, I think he blasted on the scene as much as anybody in the system this year for the Dodgers. I mean, I got to see him in Wichita Friday night, and I can tell you that dude is very impressive. His fastball is around 96, but the way that he throws his dirty secondary pitches, his fastball really plays up. So make sure and keep an eye out for Garrett McDaniels. And then Michael Martinez got called up to Double-A Tulsa and actually through Sunday as well. I've talked a couple of different times about how good Michael Martinez is, and boy, coming off that Tommy John, just like several different other guys, and he is on the top of the lineup of if you made a lineup of guys that came back off of injury and made a splash onto the scene, he would definitely be at the top of that list, no doubt about that. So Michael Martinez, definitely a guy that you want to put in your Rolodex. Just remember the name for next year, no doubt about that, because he had a really nice year for just splashed back onto the scene. And moving to the AAA level, wanted to highlight that Tony Gonsolin threw for AAA Oklahoma City on Sunday. I got to see him with my own eyes, and boy, he gave up 2 runs, but it was good to see him back on the mound. I've said it a couple of times, but I do not think that he is a factor for 2024, and I hope he's not, because I think if he is, that means just about every other plan that you had for your club didn't work. So I think that's probably plan Z, if you will, not because the Dodgers don't think Tony Gonsolin is very good, just because they don't think he's probably ready to come back right now. They don't want to put that stress on his arm to have to play that high leverage of a role. And then Brusdar Gratterall, it's good to see him get back onto the Major League mound. I enjoyed getting to see him in AAA Oklahoma City. I got to actually interview him and talk to him. So he's not necessarily a down the farm guy, but just kind of wanted to show you his work in Oklahoma City that I got a chance to take some video of. And then Joe Kelly. I'll tell you, Joe Kelly, that's with him in Rancho right here. He was dirty Sunday. I'm not going to lie. Joe Kelly was absolutely he was different. I mean, I'm telling you, I see a lot of these guys pitch, and you see just a lot of different great players. And what his stuff that he was throwing to home plate Sunday, it just stuck out. It caught my attention. It was like, oh, wow, that's really, really good right there. So Joe Kelly looked really, really good. So hopefully he is imminent to the big club. And then my man Wardo. I think Ryan Ward has had the best. He is, in my opinion, he is the Dodgers Daily Offensive Player of the Year for the entire minor league system. Ryan Ward has had just an awesome year so far. Of course, the Oklahoma City Baseball Club still has a week left, so we're going to keep covering them. What a great crowd they had at Oklahoma City Sunday night, over 9,000 people. Try this on for size: 31 home runs, which leads the PCL, 265 average, OPS 874. Old Wardo, man, he is Rule 5 eligible. If the Dodgers don't protect him, which I wouldn't expect them to, just not because I don't think he's really good, just because of the roster crunch. I mean, simply put, they might. I don't know. We'll see. That's going to be interesting. But I do think if he does not get protected, he is going to be gonzo, because he has had just a really, really, in my opinion, the best offensive year of any Dodgers minor leaguer in the system. And then this guy, Cody Hosey, he has had the breakout season for any Dodgers minor league season, for any Dodgers minor leaguer in the system, in my opinion. A breakout meaning a guy that's just been kind of hovering around, ho-hum, whatever, and then all of a sudden, bam, here he is. How about 288 on the season? His OPS is 843, and then the home runs. He's been hitting the ball. It's not just the average. It's not just all that. It's the fact that he's been hitting the ball with such authority this season, and or at least the last half of the season, and just really swinging the bat, like I said, with authority. And that's not just getting lucky. That means that you're confident and you're driving the baseball and doing a very good job from that perspective. And then I can't finish unless I give thanks and congratulations to my man Drew Avens, who set an Oklahoma City record for all-time hits. So he is the all-time hits leader for anybody with AAA Oklahoma City. That spans, gosh, many different organizations. I know when I was a kid, they were the Phillies, and then they were the Rangers, and then we were the Astros, and now we're the Dodgers, and that kind of thing. So to say that you're the all-time hits leader for AAA Oklahoma City is quite an accomplishment, and that's exactly what Drew Avens did. He's going to be a free agent after this year. I hope somebody picks him up. I hope they put him in left field and they start center field and say, hey, be top 10 in runs scored. Because guess who led the Pacific Coast League in runs scored this year? Yes, that would be Drew Avens. So congratulations to him. And so that concludes our Down on the Farm for today.